Hello everyone and welcome to the Battle of the Mississippi Custom Multiplayer Game, Episode 1, Introduction. This contest will be fought as a double-blind custom multiplayer game. And just what is that? Well, that is a game in which a moderator creates a scenario in which the participants have no prior knowledge of the number of men involved or the setups that they'll be going in with or against. This creates an extremely difficult battle for the two sides, as they must go into the affair without all the usual advantages of prior knowledge or intel. For more information, click on the link in the description below. In this scenario, Walt and Jim will be playing as the Federals, while Paul and Todd will be playing as the Confederates. In all of my multiplayer games, I like to create a backstory explaining why the two sides are fighting where they are. To quickly summarize this, Grant is launching his offensive south of Vicksburg and attempting to sweep up to the north to cut the line between Vicksburg and Jackson, Mississippi. The Confederates are moving quickly to oppose him, and the new department commander, Joseph Johnston, has formed a large mobile force in order to counterattack Grant before he can reach the Southern Mississippi Railroad connecting the two Confederate cities. If you'd like to read the full description, feel free to hit pause now and do so. Now we're going to take a look at the two armies involved. Here are the order of battles for the Army of Mississippi and the Army of the Tennessee. And as you can see, they have the same number of men. As a matter of fact, both armies are the exact same. Both have 30,500 men, 28,200 infantry, 500 cavalrymen, 1,800 artillerymen, and 72 cannon. But wait, there's more. Both sides have the same artillery types. Both have the same supply quantity, same number of supply wagons, and both have the same exact command and leadership qualities overall. It doesn't stop there. Both have 72 infantry regiments with 10 cavalry units of 50 men each. Both have 24 artillery sections and the same infantry weaponry. And I continue to go on. Both have 4,800 A-rated troops, 11,000 B-rated troops, and 12,400 C-rated troops. They also have the same cavalry quality and the same artillery quality. So the obvious question is, why would I do that? Why not? I'm really not a big fan of equal force fights, but I thought it would be fun to do one without anyone actually knowing that they are involved in one. Neither side has any idea that this is going on. Both only know that their opponent has an army of about 28,000 to 33,000 men, somewhere roughly the size of their own. I guess you could then say that this is a double-blind, custom multiplayer equal force battle. I think it's going to be fun. So the victory conditions for the two armies. There are two ways that one side or the other can win this game. One is strategically and the other is militarily. To win the battle strategically, you need to capture some set objectives. Looking at the battlefield map, we're first going to concentrate on the Confederate base here in the north. If the Federals capture this objective, they win the battle. To the south, there is the Bethlehem Church, and this is the Federal base. If the rebels capture this, they win the battle. Besides those two, there are three neutral objectives in the middle of the map, and neither side will control these at the very beginning. One side or the other can win this battle by capturing and holding the majority of the 5 objectives by the end of the battle. The other way to win this battle is militarily, and you can do that by inflicting significant losses on your enemy and forcing them to retreat. To achieve a military victory, I'm going to pull up the victory dialogue on the screen here. The infantry, cavalry, artillery, supply, and leader points lost are all added up for each side until one or the other crosses their set threshold. If that happens, their opponent automatically wins the game. In this game, the point limits for the two sides are 4,500 for each. That equals about 10,000 infantry losses, 300 cavalry losses, 10 artillery losses, and 1 supply wagon lost. So you can kind of see how it's possible to reach 4,500 points. Here are the rules that we're going to be using. Nothing out of the ordinary here at all. We did turn off mixed organizational penalty and extreme fog of war. There are no night turns in this game, so we don't have to worry about that. There is no melee in column for infantry. There is an 8 guns per hex limit. And each side will be able to select their own setup out of 4 possible options. So let's go over those options right now. To begin with, Rebel Plan option number 1. In this option, there are 4 Confederate divisions moving south along the 2 main roads and the 2 main trails heading to the southern part of the map. Now, pulling up the Federal option number 1, guess what? It mirror images what the Confederate option is. And if you put them all on the map at the same time, you'll realize I'm just doing a mirror image of what their opponents are doing. So it's possible that both sides could choose option number 1 and they would have the exact same battle plan. And I just kept running with this same theme. So for strategic option number 2, for the Confederates, it was 2 huge columns along the 2 main roads. And for the Federals, it was the same thing, 2 large columns along the 2 main roads. Strategic option number 3, the Confederates would defend in the west and attack in the east. For the Federals, they would defend in the west and attack in the east. Strategic option number 4 had a column from the Confederates moving to the eastern side of Baker Creek to try to outflank the Federal Army. For the Federals, their option number 4 had a Union column moving to the east to try to outflank the Confederates at Edwards Station. Having looked at all the different plans, which ones do you think they chose? Well, let's begin with the Rebel Command meeting. Johnston and Pemberton discussed the different plans and eventually settled on plan number 4. That was the plan in which a division of the Confederate Army would move to the east of Baker Creek and try to move to the south to outflank the Federals. Why would they choose this plan? Well, Johnston wrote that this plan allows me to quickly get a couple of cavalry units investigating for any Yankees east of Baker Creek. I have no intention of sending infantry with those cavalry units. French will about face and start heading in the opposite direction to provide support for Walker. However, if the cavalry reveal any substantial Union force in the east, which I think is most unlikely, heading north to flank us, then we can set up against it. Johnston went on to say that he favored fighting for the eastern and western objectives along the 2 major north-south roads. They should ignore the center objective along the trails and concentrate just on the roads. Pemberton agreed with this, and the plan was put into motion. Moving over to the Union command meeting, Grant and Sherman met to discuss the various plans that they might use. Plan number 1 was chosen as the others either spread out their army too much or sent part of the army across Baker Creek, which might be too risky. Pulling up the Federal plan, the Federal commanders discussed it, and they believed it was likely the rebels would aggressively attack south from Edwards Station towards Bethlehem Church, using the bulk of their force. Hovey and Osterhaus would move north on Smith Road to secure the Smith Road objective. If any enemy resistance met was light, they could turn to the northeast to capture the middle objective. Smith's division would move towards the middle objective in an attempt to capture it. Along the Telegraph Road, McClernand favored a rapid push to take the objective there with Sherman's 15th Corps, but Grant disagreed. He felt that Sherman should move cautiously in anticipation of a powerful rebel attack heading south from Edwards Station. Grant ordered Sherman's corps to halt south of the objective and begin forming up a defensive line for the attack he believed was coming. So here is my 2 cents about everything going on so far. To begin with, this is a hard battle, and it's hard for both sides, and that is on purpose. I like to challenge players, and I really do believe that these smaller to medium-sized battles offer a much greater degree of difficulty in many cases. The way I set this up was that the Yankees and the Rebels should each reach one of the 3 neutral objectives during their first turn, if they just move normally. The Federals move first in this game, and if they moved their full allotment of points, they would very easily be able to capture the objective along the Telegraph Road. For the Confederates, they move second, but they will still be able to reach the Smith Road objective well ahead of the Federals moving from the south. The real wild card in this was meant to be the middle objective. Neither side has a real clear path to get there, and it's going to take a number of turns to determine who will get to that objective first. I also intentionally gave the sides less artillery ammunition than I usually do. Now, why would I do that? Well, because this is an infantry battle. A lot of this battle will be head-to-head fighting in thick woods and with infantry, and the 2 sides will have to concentrate on infantry tactics and maneuvering. Now, for the Federals could have reached the Telegraph Road objective right away, but they opted to play it conservatively, and the Rebels will now reach it first and control that objective. The Rebels will also be able, although the Federals don't know this, to reach the Smith objective first, giving them the critical control of 2 of the 3 neutral objectives really from the very start. The Federals will have to find a way to gain the initiative and counterattack the Rebels in order to regain the objectives necessary to win this battle. Of course, that's assuming that the Rebels don't just attack the Federal lines and break their army on their defenses, but I don't think that's going to happen. The Federals will likely have better interior lines during this battle, and probable control over the middle objective if they follow their initial plan. And that's going to help them to counterattack one part of the Confederate Army or the other later in the battle. Looking now at the Confederate plan, they will quickly achieve their goal of taking the 2 objectives along the main roads. But their flanks will be far apart, with the Federals likely controlling the important interior trails and objective. With their army divided, can the Rebels resist a concentrated Federal counterattack on either of their 2 flanks? Looking at all this from the larger perspective, I think the Federals chose the best possible plan of the options available. But their battle plan simply isn't aggressive enough. As it is right now, the Confederates will be able to gain these 2 objectives by the end of the second turn. And the middle objective is the only one that the Federals will be able to reach first. The thing about the Federal plan that I don't understand is that they are counting on taking the objective that is furthest from where their starting location is. Why would you not just take the one that you are closest to, which is along the Telegraph Road? It's a bit of a mystery to me. The Rebel plan begins aggressive, but they then halt at their objectives, or at least that's where their battle plan ends. Even a limited attack past those objectives might derail any Union plans. After all, a good defense is a good offense, right? We have now reached the end of episode number 1. And what am I looking forward to in the next episode? Will the Rebels attack aggressively as the Yankees anticipate, or will they just simply take the objectives and let the Yankees then attack them? What will the Federals do if the Rebels don't attack as expected, which is south from Edwards Station? Will the Federals take the offensive, or will they continue to wait and hope the Confederates come out and attack them? Lastly, will a battle actually develop at all along Smith Road? It will become very clear early on that the Confederates already control that objective. Will the Federals move north and try to quickly attack them, or will they halt and try to gain the middle objective instead? I really appreciate everybody taking the time to watch this, and I do hope you'll tune in for the next episode. Thank you.